Okay, so the goals for the Municipal Investment Fund grant are to launch the Bloomington Energy Works program. So we can check that off the list. We have launched as of today. So our next goal is to develop a list of potentially financeable energy efficiency and renewable energy projects worth a minimum of $50 million. And we are saying potentially because this is a competition. We are competing with 48 other cities across the US. This is our chance for Bloomington to raise our hand and say that we are ready for clean energy investments. We won't gain much attention from investors if we're not able to gather that $50 million worth of projects. So our first goal is to gather those list of projects to submit in our Clean Energy Public-Private Partnership Plan that is due to ICLEI USA by April 15th, 2026. And finally, our goal is to bring that potential low-cost financing capital to Bloomington for project implementation. First, I'd like to highlight some success stories that the City of Bloomington has seen. First project is our recent City Hall LED lighting upgrades that we completed this year. The total cost of that project was $275,000. The city will be receiving a reimbursement from the Department of Energy for $141,000. We'll also be receiving a Duke Energy rebate of about $33,000. And we are estimated to save 67% on our annual lighting costs every year. The next project is our Twin Lakes Recreation Center solar installation. We installed a 651 kilowatt system in 2018. The total cost of this system was $1.4 million. Since 2018, we have generated 5.1 gigawatt hours of solar energy. Our bills from Duke Energy, we are charged 34 cents per kilowatt. Our last bill was only $54.29, which is quite remarkable given the size of that building. So since 2018, we have saved nearly $2 million in electricity costs. So we are already seeing a return on investment for this project, and we will continue to save money on electricity for the next 13 years because solar systems have a lifespan of approximately 20 years. And the next projects are electric vehicles and charging stations. The city is investing in transitioning our fleet to EVs. We currently have 23 EVs in use, and we've also installed 22 level 2 EV charging stations. And we really see this as a cost benefit because we know that EVs are about 3 times more efficient than conventional vehicles. So we're not only saving money on fuel, but we're also saving money on vehicle maintenance. We see EVs as the future, and their adoption will continue to grow. And so with all of the success that we're seeing, we really want to see all of our businesses, manufacturers, and residents also see the benefits of energy efficiency and renewable energy. And our role here with the Bloomington Energy Works program, we are the bridge between our community and investors. And so the city is helping to gather a list of qualified projects. Those projects will be put into our Clean Energy Public-Private Partnership Plan. And our goal is to bring low-cost financing by partnering with all of these potential investors. And so whenever we think about bringing finance to Bloomington, we want to know, how do we get banks and foundations to work together? And so we can think of that as 2 different types of cakes. And so there's a sheet cake, it's flat. If we only have banks or if we only have foundations, we're really not able to accomplish as much. But if we're able to build a layer cake, if we're able to create a capital stack that layers together capital from investors with different risk and return expectations to finance a group of projects, we'll be much more successful. And so if we think of that capital stack and that layer cake, the top layer, that is our finance first investors. Their primary goal is to make money, and this layer always gets filled first. They are the most risk adverse, and so they are looking for the least amount of risk, and that is called senior debt. The middle layer of the cake, the capital stack, is middle investors, and that is sometimes called subordinate debt. And then the bottom layer, that is our impact first investors. they care most about the impact of the project. These are foundations who give grants or subsidies, and they are the ones that are willing to take on the most risk. Those types of investors, they want to see these projects happen. They want to make it happen. And so our goal here is to bring all these different types of investors together to build a capital stack. So, but in order to attract those investors, we need to build our pipeline of projects. And so by focusing on a pipeline of deals instead of one deal at a time, our community can see all the potential opportunities to advance our shared priority. We see all of the projects in one place. So instead of maybe per year only being able to complete 5 projects, we want to increase that up to 50 projects or more. We want to reduce costs, increase efficiency and flexibility. We want to understand the enabling environment for these projects and also identify the choke points where the system is stuck. What is preventing our community from implementing these projects? It's easier to raise money for a pipeline of projects. It's easier to demonstrate a larger impact. It spreads the risks over a number of projects, and it really demonstrates our community's commitment to sustainability. A pipeline meets minimum check sizes for investors, and it attracts and aligns more stakeholders to expand the community investment system. So these are all of the reasons why we want to gather all of our projects across our community. And so I'd like to introduce our Bloomington Energy Works team. This is the team that's working with the city to implement the Bloomington Energy Works program and to implement our grant funding. And so Indiana Energy Independence Fund, they are our project partner. We co-applied for this grant. They serve as the fiscal sponsor for the city of Bloomington. They submit the required reports to ICLEI USA and CGC, and their services are paid by the Municipal Investment Fund grant. Donovan Energy, they provide energy audits to any large building owner located within the city limits. They will develop a list of energy conservation measures for each of those buildings that they audit. And again, their services are paid by the grant. And then finally, Electrify Indiana. They have been hired to create an education program for our residents to educate them about the benefits of energy efficiency and renewable energy. They will be implementing the volunteer outreach program, and again, they are paid by the grant funding. So our Clean Energy Public-Private Partnership Plan, the projects that are listed in that plan, they will be qualified as long as they can demonstrate a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Residents are encouraged to fill out our online survey if they have any home projects that they are intending to implement in the coming years. That survey is on our website. And building owners inside the city limits can receive the free energy audits. If we have any building owners that are located outside of the city limits, you can still participate in our public-private partnership plan. You can go to our website. We have an online form where you can submit your projects that you have already determined that you want to add to our plan. We are required to spend 50% of our grant funding in low-income and disadvantaged communities, sometimes called LIDAC. So half of our energy audits and half of our residential education campaign must be within these highlighted areas in Bloomington. So now I'd like to welcome Kaio with ICLEI USA. He is working with ICLEI USA and is our program administrator.
Thank you, Sean. Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here. I know that Sean and her team have been working in Alex with IEIF, have been working on this for a while now. So it's really exciting to see this coming to fruition. Congratulations on getting to this step. And I'm excited to be here, like I said. So my name is Kaio. I am a program officer with ICLEI USA. And basically what I do is support a lot of our grantees. Like Sean was alluding to, we have almost 50 grantees spread across the US that were also awardees of this program called the Municipal Investment Fund, or MIF. So basically what we do is, like also the mayor was alluding to, we provide a lot of technical assistance, and then all the due diligence process to get to the point where we are today. We've been assisting the cities and municipalities. So I would like to kind of give a little introduction about what is this grant? What is the MIF program? Who is ICLEI USA? So basically MIF, or the Municipal Investment Fund, it's, like I was saying, a national program that really is designed to help communities really accelerate the transition to clean, affordable energy. That's the main goal here. And this is an effort that is backed and delivered through our main partner, which is CGC, the Coalition for Green Capital. And basically, CGC developed this program and brought on ICLEI USA along to be the administrator and provide all the technical assistance to our grantees. The main goal of the MIF program is to help local governments to design very strong clean energy investment plans, as well as help them build partnerships with the private sector, with utilities, with developers, and CBOs, community organizations. The way that this is done, the way that this happens, is that MIF will give awardees resources to plan strategically, to develop a strong public-private partnership plan, like Sean was talking about earlier, and really trying to build a pipeline of clean energy projects. And obviously, especially in low-income and disadvantaged communities, like Sean was just saying in the previous slide. These projects, they can vary, and they can include things like community solar, energy-efficient buildings, battery storage, clean transportation, and so on. So while CGC, the Coalition for Green Capital, really provides the capital tools, we at ICLEI USA, we guide the local governments through the technical, the financial, and all the administrative steps, which really there's a lot, as Sean and Alex probably know at this point. So the goal really here with this support is to help awardees really strengthen their ability to attract investments, to lower energy costs, to improve resiliency, and hopefully, potentially, really deliver real benefits to your residents. So in short, just to kind of close the loop on MIF, we are helping communities mobilize, these clean energy solutions in a faster, in a more affordable, and a more equitable way. It really gives them the tools to run and turn all these clean energy goals into shovel-ready products. So next slide, please, if you don't mind. Who is ICLEI USA? What are we doing here? Who actually is involved? So some of you might be aware with ICLEI, others not. Basically, ICLEI is an international nonprofit organization that really supports hundreds of local governments across the US and the world, and advancing climate, resiliency, sustainability, and clean energy goals. We bring many decades of experience in helping cities and counties turn climate plans into real projects. Back in the 1990s, when these climate conferences were really kicking off in the international stage, a lot of local leaders, they felt like they didn't have their voices heard in the local state, in these international stages. It was mostly presidents and commissions from the government, from the federal government. So a lot of local leaders got together, and eventually they formed what is now known as ICLEI, which is the International Council of Local Environmental Initiatives. For the Municipal Investment Fund program specifically, as I was talking about, ICLEI really serves as the primary technical assistance provider and grant administrator. So yeah, we guide communities through many different pathways, from planning to compliance, project development, and really trying to understand your financial readiness. We also help build collaboration across all the grantees we have. In this case, almost 50. Through training and tools in a national peer network. So in short, just to close here, ICLEI's role is really to make sure that every community has the support needed to really successfully participate in this major clean energy financing opportunity that is the MIF program. That is all for me. I'm really excited to be here, really excited to see this program kicking off, and happy to answer any questions in the end as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. And next up, we have Logan Gunning with the Indiana Energy Independence Fund.
Hi, everyone. And thank you, Kaio, and to ICLEI USA for your support and your presentation. As John said, I'm Logan Gunning, and I'm a program manager with the Indiana Energy Independence Fund, or IEIF. Apologies for the mouthful. And I'm here to describe basically who we are, what we do, and how we're associated with Bloomington Energy Works. And so I'll try to make this pretty brief so we can move along to some of the real stars of the show. But first, IEIF is Indiana's nonprofit green bank. And so IEIF is an organization ultimately that is designed to facilitate investment into and accelerate the deployment of energy efficiency and renewable energy projects, among other forms of energy saving improvements. And so we support clean energy projects across all sectors. So that would include single and multifamily residential, commercial and industrial, nonprofit, and public sectors within the state. And we have as an important focus and emphasis on underserved and undercapitalized communities specifically. And that's in order to help those particular segments of the population access low interest financing to realize the benefits of both safe, affordable, but also cost saving forms of energy use and production that they may not be able to access otherwise. And so our goals and the goals of green banks generally are to, first, lower energy costs, second, mobilize and de-risk private investment. We're also designed to support the development of a broader clean energy market statewide and create jobs facilitating, local and community economic development generally and meeting climate action goals. And so our association then with the Bloomington Energy Works initiative, we are, as was mentioned, the sub-awardee of the Municipal Investment Fund grant, which underlies the Bloomington Energy Works project. And so we're responsible for managing these funds, ensuring adherence to the grant terms, and then also contracting with the actual boots on the ground who will execute on the Bloomington Energy Works activities. And you'll hear from them in just a moment. So we're also involved in coordinating with our program partners. So that would include the city of Bloomington, but also ICLEI, and then those vendors I just mentioned. And so we're kind of operating largely in the background, but ultimately we're quite pleased to be able to support this project, which is aligned with our own work anyway, and the goals of the Green Bank and green banking as a whole. And also to be able to work with the city of Bloomington and the broader Bloomington community. I have roots in Bloomington. I know Alex, our executive director, does as well. So it's nice to be able to participate in this. If you could go to the next slide, please. As for a bit of background, I guess, just on IEIF generally, we were established in 2023 and we are a lean but mighty team of 4. So that includes our contractor account manager on the left, Chris Curlin. We have a McKinney Climate Fellow from IU, Anika Swanson. Then there's myself, and then at the helm, the illustrious Alex Crowley, our executive director, who I believe is also on this call, and will be able to take any questions later on. And then below this photo are logos of our financing partners. And those are organizations with whom we've collaborated to bring financing solutions to Indiana. On the commercial, nonprofit, and public sector front, we've collaborated with the National Energy Improvement Fund, or NIFE, last year, and we brought financing through them. And then there's also Inclusive Prosperity Capital, which we've launched our Smart E residential loan product with in September of this year. And then finally, our additional residential product with the Solar and Energy Loan Fund, which we anticipate to launch in the very near future. So stay tuned for that. Next slide, please. And then just to wrap things up, I have one little shameless plug. If you're interested in learning more about IEIF, our products, what we're doing, and so on, please feel free to either visit our website. You can contact Alex or myself with any of the following email addresses, and then we're also active on LinkedIn and Facebook. So I will end it there. I believe I'm passing it along to Donovan Energy, but thank you for attending. Go Hoosiers, and enjoy the rest of the presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, Logan. And next up with Donovan Energy is Andy Holzhauer.
All right, thank you, Sean, and good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here and dig in. And so first, just briefly, a little bit about us. We are a small business that has been working in Bloomington and throughout the state of Indiana for now several years. Really proud to be on this team. Have known and seen the leadership from the city of Bloomington during that period of time, have been following the progress of IEIF over the last couple of years, and have had the fortune of knowing and working in different ways with the Coalition for Green Capital going back almost 15 years, as well as having a lot of our local government clients, members, and partners with ICLEI in a range of things. And so it's really fun to be a part of this broad-based team and to be serving in the role that we are here. And so we have been around as a firm for about 10 years, and we really look at the world at the intersection of clean energy project development and finance. And that, I think, in many ways characterizes the greatness of this national financing program and the leadership that Bloomington has already generated by even getting the funds awarded to them much less thinking about where it can go from here. And so we're very excited to be primarily focused on providing the energy modeling and some of the number crunching on the energy side of things. We also have our eye as a firm on the finance world, and so understanding and recognizing the tools both of IEIF that Logan shared, but then the capacity at that 50 million-ish scale that CGC has the ability to step into is very exciting. So we're just excited to work with building owners and developers in and around the city to be able to build this pipeline up, to be able to bring even better financing solutions to the table. So next slide, please. Here's just a little sample of a few different projects that we've worked on. More than anything, just trying to indicate that in these examples, these are selected to demonstrate broad-based sectors. And so, for those of you that are working in an industrial company or at a private school, that would characterize the work that certainly we've done, but that is possible from the assessment standpoint through this grant at Shepherd Chemical and at St. Ursula Academy. As examples, the work at the airport is maybe a little bit more intuitive. All to say that it's some of the big infrastructure, public infrastructure that many communities have that I think really just characterizes the range of different possibilities that this grant and that the vision that Bloomington has put forward. They want to cast a wide net. They want to bring as many projects into this pipeline as possible, and we'll be working vigorously over the next couple of months with the team to move as many of them through the analysis of the energy modeling as possible to be instrumental in building up that pipeline. And so you can jump to the next slide, which just gives a little bit of a deeper dive example. This is a lighting upgrade, an LED lighting upgrade in a parking garage in the Northern Kentucky area at their main international airport. And I think principally on here is a couple of things. So for one, the simple payback on this project was about 3 years. This project happened to also tie in some smart wayfinding solutions. You can see the color-coded light system there as an example of trying to find in a 6,000 car parking garage the available parking spots. I think we all face those things routinely if we're trying to look for a parking spot in a stadium or in a convention center or some different things like that. So allow your thoughts and your imagination to be very robust in terms of thinking about either projects that or opportunities or needs that you may have in a building that you occupy, that you patronize, or that you own on a regular basis, or ones in the community that feel like they're paying too much on their electricity and gas bills. That's probably many, but we're just eager to be working with you all in the business community throughout the city to be able to, again, bring as many projects through as possible. And so the last slide here, I'll spend a moment on to just make it a little bit more practical in terms of some of the examples of some of the actual things we'll be working with you on in looking at your buildings. So again, a credit to the city and IEF's vision here, but they're in a position to be able to look at both energy efficiency, renewable, and broader resilience measures. And so those are all the maybe more traditional things you think of when you think of the mechanicals, the electricals, and the plumbing systems of a building. But that extends over to solar, on-site solar, to battery storage, which not only helps to make solar work better, but also allows the building to be more resilient in the case of power outages. We know those are happening in Bloomington and many other communities, and there are things with these resources and otherwise that can be done to help to mitigate some of the damages that can have on businesses and buildings, much less in the places where people live. And so we're in a position to be able to characterize all of those types of projects. We'll meet you where you're at in your building. If it's a new construction project, you'll fall toward the bottom there under the developers section where we don't have an existing building, but it's more of a conceptual energy model based on specs and site plans. However, in a more kind of traditional case where you've got an existing building, we're going to be looking at 12 months of your utility bills and a range of other data points to be able to start with what we call a desktop analysis. So we'll consider it a phase one review we'll be able to analyze data that's in front of us that you've maybe already been able to provide to us, to be able to bubble up to the top. Hey, yeah, there's a real opportunity. You're in fact paying far more on your energy bills than you should be, maybe either based on your square footage or based on the type of building that you're in, how many hours per day that the building's turned on, for example. So that's the type of analysis we'll do before we do the site visit, and then that can then lead to the actual physical site visit, where we'll spend a couple to several hours going through all the nooks and crannies of your building, of some of the darker areas, certainly all the storage and janitor's closets where any of your energy infrastructure exists, looking at your plans, et cetera, to be able to get a much more detailed analysis, or what we fondly refer to as an ASHRAE Level 2 energy audit. That's largely considered I'd say the gold standard in terms of a mid-level review of an energy analysis of a building. And at the end of the day, ultimately, in addition to bubbling up to the top, a sense for, here's your HVAC upgrade opportunities, your lighting upgrade opportunities, solar, and on down the line, the estimated cost of those upgrades, and based on projected savings, the simple return on investment or payback. That then also helps determine a financing structure and a financing game plan. And so again, we really work to blend these two together, because it's a lot to take in. I think if you're just a building owner, going through routine maintenance or management of the property. And so when it comes to the finance side of things, we'll certainly look at maximizing any available tax credits and incentives, any available Duke rebates, and then anything that's left over is going to have to be financed. And that's certainly where the great work and resources of IEIF, or potentially from an even larger perspective, the resources of Coalition for Green Capital, can come into play. So we're excited to help Bloomington be recognized in an even more profound way on a national scale through this program, make a big impact in our backyard here, but also help the decision makers recognize that Bloomington, among the 49 or 50 cities in this program that is competitive, is among the best to be able to get even more resources down the line. So thanks for the time, and look forward to Q&A.
Thank you so much, Andy. Next up is Maddie Hirschland with Electrify Indiana.
I'm not hearing anything. Are you muted?
Is Maddie on the call? Jolie, do you see her? Or is Anne on the call?
Yes.
She may be having some technical difficulties.
Perhaps so.
In the meantime, I'll answer a question that was submitted by Mike Mullet. Yes, we'll provide these slides on our website, as well as our recording of today's webinar. Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm Maddie Hirschland, and I'm with Electrify Indiana, formerly known as Solarize Indiana. We are thrilled to be working both with the city and with the Indiana Energy Independence Fund, and perhaps even with Donovan. And it's great to be here. We are so pleased that so many people are here with us. Primarily, we want you to know about the program, and we need your help. So I hope you'll be very excited by what we're talking about, and that you'll be eager to help us with it. So let's see. Okay. For some reason, I'm not quite seeing the slides, but that's fine. So Electrify Indiana, our mission is to help Hoosiers save energy and money by choosing efficient electric appliances. And our goal is to equip Hoosier households across the state to make cost-saving, healthy choices when their gas-fueled appliances breakdown. So that's our mission. What will we be doing with the Energy Works program? We'll be knocking on 7,000 doors, obviously with lots of volunteers, at least half of which will be in low-income and disadvantaged communities. We'll be organizing about 40 presentations that will reach at least 790 attendees, and we'll be supporting homeowners with technical support through both a website, a listserv, a technical listserv, and then regular Zoom sessions with experts, contractors who can answer household questions. So that's what we'll be doing in the program. Next slide, please. So this is from the Electrify Indiana website. You can find it at www.electrifyindiana.org. The first question might be, what is electrification? So there are 6 major electrification changes that we're helping households with. One is heat pumps instead of gas-fired furnaces. One is heat pump water heaters instead of gas-powered water heaters. Electric vehicles, electric dryers, in particular heat pump dryers, electric stoves, in particular induction cooktops, and also solar panels. We won't go into the details, but weatherization is a key piece of this, just because it helps the other, the heating and cooling costs be much lower and safer and more efficient. So that's in general what we're working on. The question you might have is, why does this really matter? So I think we all know that utility costs in Indiana are skyrocketing. They are across the state, but we're seeing particularly large increases in utility rates, and people are suffering. Households are suffering. And by electrifying and adopting really energy efficient electric appliances, we can make a huge difference to households all over the state, and in particular in Bloomington. The other reason that electrification is so urgently important is that the grid is going to go green. The grid will be powered by renewables. There's no question about it, whether or not we want it. It will happen because the cost of solar and wind and renewables are going down, and the cost of methane gas and of coal are going up or will stay steady. We're not going to be seeing big decreases. So the market will ensure that the grid is green, that where we get our electricity from will be green. However, if our households are still powering ourselves with natural gas and our cars with gasoline, it won't matter if the grid is green. So we have to, in our households, be making that switch. And every Hoosier household and every Bloomington household needs to know when something breaks down, which could be tomorrow or could be in several decades, that we need to make the switch to electric appliances. I should add that Electrify Indiana, until accepting this grant, has been an all-volunteer organization. We're a not-for-profit. We've accepted grants in the past as Solarize Indiana, but we're all volunteer, and we're all volunteer because we think this is extraordinarily important, that we make this shift to electric households. So I think we can go to the next slide. It may feel like a daunting task to figure out how to get all of Bloomington, 7,000 households that we'll reach right now, but the bigger vision is all of Bloomington and all of Indiana to make this switch. So it's worth saying that Bloomington itself and Electrify Indiana has extensive experience with moving into new technologies. The experience is with solar. And so in 2015, I want to just paint very briefly a picture for you. In 2015, there were perhaps 4 dozen, maybe, solar installs in Bloomington. At that time, 2 groups got together. One was a bunch of teenagers. They called themselves ICY, the Interfaith Coalition of Environmentalist Youth, and Siren, which was a bunch of very driven and primarily engineers who were really interested in seeing solar take off. Those two groups got together. The youth went door to door in a 1 mile by 1 mile neighborhood that had the most dense solar in the city. It had just under, I believe, 24 solar installs. They were not common, and they were even less common in the city. They went door to door with a brochure that they made up and said, come to an information center session in our neighborhood in a solar home. They then, as you can see in the upper left, introduced these information sessions. They were packed. That people's small households in the neighborhood were packed with neighbors who wanted to hear more about this. They introduced the session, and then Siren took off with it. Siren's the Solar Indiana Renewable Energy Network. They really know their stuff. They gave a very tight, set standard presentation, and then things were open for questions. There were refreshments. It was a very warm feeling. In 5 months, this duo, these two groups together, more than doubled the number of solar installs in that neighborhood. It was remarkable because at the time, solar was not common. It was very expensive, and that nevertheless, they were able to do that. The teens moved on. They started applying for colleges and took off. Siren continued this in partnership with the city of Bloomington. You can see in City Hall an information session they had. And what you might have seen in the chat a few minutes ago is that between 2016 or 17 and when solar sort of fell off a cliff because of the laws that net metering no longer was available, they moved from a few dozen solar installs in the city to over 1,000. So this city is now a mecca for solar. I would guess that per capita we have a higher rate of solar installs than anywhere in the Midwest. I'm not sure. What you can see though, and the right-hand side of this slide, is that this was picked up. This model of Solarize was picked up based on Bloomington and some other places, their experience, and was taken again in a 5-month period between when this lousy solar law passed and it began to take effect. There were teams, we organized teams completely of volunteers all over the state. There were 11 teams. Within 6 or 7 months, we had solar contracts that doubled the number of solar arrays in these other regions where these teams were working. So this is all just to say we can do this, but it takes a lot of energy and commitment and volunteers. So moving along here. Yeah. So how are we planning to do this in Bloomington? We want to build on those lessons that we learned from the Solarize campaigns that were so successful. The first thing we want to do is have canvassers in teams going out to neighborhoods. We want to just have those canvassers get people in the neighbors excited enough to go to presentations where they'll learn more about electrifications. There will be 2 types of presentations. One will be a sort of show and tell in an electric home that is in the neighborhood or nearby. And the other will be presentations that are either in the city hall or ideally in places where people are already going. So they're already looking for presentations, they already come together. That could be anything from a Rotary Club to a congregation that is interested in having a presentation. Anything that you can think of would be fair game, and we really want to hear from you about where we should be going with these. After those presentations, households that are ready to go because they have something that's about to break down will have the ability to access, as I said earlier, the website, the technical listserv, or Zoom sessions with contractors who can give them answers about questions they have in their homes. So, in case there's any worry, can this actually work? I want to say that we actually in late September on what was called Sunday, we realized that there was nothing happening yet in Bloomington for this day, which was a national day of promoting renewable energy. So on very short notice, we decided to have 3 back-to-back show and tell presentations the kind that we want to do through this program in my home. So our home is all electric, and it's completely powered, net powered by solar panels. We have 29 solar panels, and we generate more electricity in 1 year than we use. And we use it for our heat pump heating and cooling. We use mini splits, ductless mini splits for the whole heating and cooling. We have a heat pump water heater. We switched off of a gas stove to an electric stove. We have an induction cooktop. And then an electric dryer, which we've always had. And we do not yet have an EV, but we hope we will soon. So we pay over per month $14 to be connected to the electric grid, which serves as a sort of battery. We don't have a battery in the home. So what we're paying is something, what I think it's $270 a year total for everything, for all our heating and cooling, for all our hot water heating, for all the computers, for all the, mowing the lawn with an electric mower, everything that we do, refrigeration, everything is paid for in $280 a year in a monthly fee to be connected to the electricity grid. So we say that both to say that we know what we're doing and we know how to do this, but also that this is incredibly effective ways to invest so that households don't have to pay so much in utility bills. In any case, we, in a very short time, got 400 very homemade flyers out to several neighborhoods, put it out on those neighborhood listservs, and we had 50 people in the home for these show and tells. It was fantastic. I want to call out Daryl, who's on this call, who got lots of the siren folks who know about these different technologies to come to the home. I gave a very brief set presentation, which is what we do whenever we give this, do any kind of session, which we've done lots of around the state. And then the people were just fanned out across the house. Some, I'm looking over to my left because that's where our ductless mini split is. So there were a whole bunch of people in this home office that were looking at that, and people answering questions. And there were people who took their EVs and brought them to the house, and they were answering questions. Anne, who's on this call, was answering questions about solar, and all over the house. People just went, they stayed, some stayed for hours while we went on to the next set of people that we were giving the presentation to. We had activities for kids, and there were grandparents playing croquet out in the back with their grandkids and other kids making puppets. It was the most joyful and wondrous afternoon. People were really happy to be meeting people they didn't know and getting their questions answered, which is, we learned, is really one big piece of being able to make that leap to a new technology. So this can be done. We want to replicate that. We hope that lots of you will help us in all different ways. So maybe we can go to the next slide.
Thank you, Mady. I think this is my next slide. But thank you so much for your presentation and for all the information. And thank you to all of our project partners. And we'll have further follow-up time for Q&As. So our next step in our program here is, if you haven't already, visit our Bloomington Energy Works website. That's where all of our information is. Sign up for our emails. We're going to be sending out emails, letting everyone know about our progress here, letting everyone know about which businesses and manufacturers have signed up and are receiving free energy audits to try to help increase momentum and see how much our community is participating. For any large building owner, go to the website and apply for a free energy audit. ESD will be reviewing those applications and selecting them for energy audits. We want to make sure that we're spending our funding in that 50% LIDAC census tract area. And so we'll be looking at our energy audit budget and making decisions as we move forward. Sign up to become an energy navigator. All of those links are on our website. We'll be adding to the website information about upcoming education sessions with Donovan Energy and Electrify Indiana. And then finally, ESD, we will be submitting our Clean Energy Public-Private Partnership Plan to ICLEI USA by April 15th, 2026. So we have a very short amount of time to pull all of these projects together. Businesses, manufacturers out there, residents, please share this program. and everything that's available and what we're trying to accomplish here. Okay. So now it's time for the Q&A session. Please use the raise your hand function on the webinar there, and I'll call on each person, or you could write your question in the chat. I'm not able to see any hands. Jolie, are you able to see anybody with their hand raised?
No.
Anybody have a question? Any kind of question? That's what we're here for. Okay. Okay, I think I saw Christine Glacier. Go ahead.
I got a little bit lost with abbreviations. ESD, what does that stand for? And is this public-private partnership thing? Is this just about businesses and the city, or is it about residents in the city as well?
That's a great question. And I'm sorry, ESD stands for Economic and Sustainable Development. So that's the department that Jolie and I work for. And then I said previously that there is a survey on our website for residents to fill out. So if there's a project that you anticipate implementing in the coming years, so if you're planning on installing a heat pump HVAC system or a solar system or battery energy storage system, you can add your projects to that survey. We're going to compile all of that data, and it'll be in our public-private partnership plan. And so the goal is to bring low-cost financing to residents, to commercial building owners, manufacturers, academic institutions. That financing we're hoping to bring to Bloomington will be for everyone.
If I'm interested in let's say a water heater,
Yes.
I will say I would like to have a heat pump water heater, and then I wait for a year or something like this, right?
If
And
it's a
then-
project that you need to implement right away, say your water heater is on the fritz and you need to replace it right away, I would say go ahead and replace that now. Don't wait for this financing. This is a potential financial program.
So once the financing program is in place, then people can apply for the money. Is that correct?
That's our intention. That is our hope. That is what we're working feverishly to get our plan together to submit by April 15th.
So if I say I would like to have a water heater in a year, is that the first step to actually getting it? Or is it just
Yes,
for you to get a sense of what the need in general is?
exactly. The need from our community. What are our priorities here in Bloomington?
Okay.
So that's the purpose of the plan. That's why we're here. That's why we want to gather all the projects across our community to submit to ICLEI. And then they're going to send that plan to investors to see, does this make sense to invest in Bloomington? And if there's any other project partners that can help with answering her questions, that'd be great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. I also want to mention that if you need funding right now, there is funding available through the Indiana Energy Saver program. It's a state program. And so if someone is low to moderate income, they can apply for that program. That funding is available. So if you have a need now, that would be your best route. If you don't have the ability to wait, that's your best route to take. Yes, Gracia. I think you might be muted.
Can you repeat the Indiana that you just mentioned? Indiana?
Yes.
Where you did, yeah, thank you.
Yes, Indiana Energy Saver program. It's a state program. It's administered by the Indiana Office of Energy Development.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Yes, Christine.
So you have city programs already right now, right? For solar and for energy efficiency and so on. So what we're doing right now with this program, it's not directly tied into that, except if people have a need right now. Do I understand that right?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And actually, Electrify Indiana, whenever you attend any of their sessions, they're going to be telling you about all of the incentives that are currently available. So they'll be walking through our Bloomington Green Home Improvement Program. That program was very successful this year. We provided 34 rebates for energy efficiency projects and solar projects. And we will be continuing that program in 2026. That is a rebate program. So, so residents, once they complete a project, they can submit for a rebate. And so right now, we don't have really low cost financing for those projects. And so our hope with this Bloomington Energy Works program is we'll be able to bring low cost financing for those projects. So when you couple the low cost financing with our rebate program, the cost of those projects are significantly reduced. And thank you, Evie. She put a link to our incentive programs.
There's a couple questions in the chat. Daryl
Okay.
asked, do you plan to educate HVAC contractors?
We have invited contractors to this webinar today, and I think there's probably some on here. And I think that's another part of what we need to do here is making sure that all of our contractors, all of our solar installation companies, they know about this program and that they are helping to spread the word about it. And Mady will be working, Electrify Indiana will be working with contractors who are going to be providing that expert advice to residents if they have questions about their own homes and how they need to proceed with electrifying their home.
And then the second question, let's see, from Daryl is, will grants be available for low income participants rather than reimbursing the owner's expense?
So what we're suggesting now is because funding is available through the Indiana Energy Savers program right now, that their best option is to go that route because they can receive, depending on their projects and their income, they can receive almost 100% coverage for those projects. And so that is their best route to take for now. But I think educating people about that program is really important, and that's where Electrify Indiana comes in. And so are you talking about our Bloomington Green Home Improvement Program or the low cost financing that's coming to Bloomington? I'm not sure.
We'd just like to make a plug at this point.
Okay.
We would so appreciate hearing from anybody on this call. If you're ready to help out with or have ideas for going door to door and canvassing, for being a presenter, for explaining things in homes, if you have ideas for organizations, if you have ideas for approaches to going into low-income neighborhoods and helping them, or working with landlords, we're really welcoming your becoming part of our volunteer team. So please do be in touch with us at electrifyindiana@gmail.com.
Thank you, Mady. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, feel free to reach out to Jolie or I. Our contact information is at the bottom of the Bloomington Energy Works website. We're really excited for this program and hope that we have a lot of participation across all sectors of our community. So thank you so much for being here. I want to thank all of our project partners for being here and your participation. And I want to thank Jolie for managing today's webinar. So thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Bye.